The USC Trojans were this close to breaking in to the college football playoff last season. If maybe not for Caleb Williams getting hurt, they might have gotten there. But hey, you cannot rewrite history. This team is looking ahead to what should be a bright and sunny 2023 for this USC team. They're one of the Pac-12, if not the Pac-12 favorites, and one of the favorites to make the college football playoffs. So can USC do what they couldn't last year and bust into the 4-team field? Or is this team going to fall to what could be a cannibalized league in the Pac-12? What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate, and welcome to my channel. I'm predicting all 133 college football FBS level teams. And guys, that means I'm doing your favorite team. So hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you know when your favorite team gets uploaded. And hey, you can do more than that to help me support my channel. You're doing one by watching the video, and you can do more by liking, commenting, subscribing, and really anything else you guys can think of to help support the channel would mean a lot to me. I thank you guys for the support on the day off, but Pac-12 predictions are here. What better team to start with than one of the Pac-12, one of the college football playoff favorites in their last year in the Pac-12 before moving over to play in the Big Ten, Lincoln Riley's USC Trojans. Hey, how do preview predictions work this summer? I'm glad you asked. We're going to take a look at a roster overview, take a look at who the team lost, who's coming back, and who's coming in through the transfer portal and recruiting class, as well as taking a look at the 2023 football schedule and breaking it down game by game and giving a prediction on each game. So without further ado, I give you your USC Trojans, my apologies, in 2023. Now, there are a lot of names on the board, and I'm going to go through them really fast, so just stay with me. Starting out with the offense, we know it's going to be a dynamic offense. Lincoln Riley's one of the best minds, one of the best offensive minds, I should say, in all of college football. And he returns his stud Heisman-winning quarterback in Caleb Williams. 4,537 yards, 42 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions last season on 66 completion. Your backup Miller Moss does come back, as well as getting a blue-chip freshman in Malachi Nelson, a 5-star, coming in to this program as well. No doubt the starter is Caleb Williams. We know what he can do. He was also third on the team in rushing with 382 yards, had 10 rushing touchdowns. That 10 rushing touchdowns did lead the team last year. Caleb Williams can do it all. No wonder he won the Heisman Trophy last year, and he's absolutely the favorite to repeat with the awards, seeking to become the second ever two-time Heisman winner in 2023. He's one of the favorites to do so. Now, running back room. You do lose your leading rusher, Travis Dye, at 884 yards and 9 touchdowns. However, Austin Jones is a really good player with 705 yards and 5 touchdowns last year. Should be that feature back, as well as you're getting a transfer coming over from South Carolina in Marshawn Lloyd to help bolster up this running back room. Wide receiver-wise, Jordan Addison, of course, was the Biletnikoff winner a couple years ago and was a very talented piece for USC in 2022, 875 yards and 8 touchdowns. He was their leading receiver in every category. Again, that's receptions, yards, and touchdowns. And then you also are losing Terrell Bynum, was a depth piece in that wide receiver room last year. Who do you return? Well, your second, third, and fourth leading receivers are back from last year. That in order is Taz Washington, 785 yards and 6 touchdowns. Mario Williams with 631 yards and 5 touchdowns. And Brendan Rice with 611 yards and 4 touchdowns, as well as getting a transfer coming over from Arizona in Dorian Singer. Very good player to help bolster up this wide receiver room. And a blue chip freshman coming in, the highest rated recruit out of Bishop Gorman in Las Vegas, Nevada. I should say the highest rated recruit that USC brought in this cycle. 4th overall rated player, Zachariah Branch. In the tight end room, you do return Lake McCree, had the most yards among tight ends last year, as well as getting a transfer, or not transfer, my apologies, a freshman coming in, a blue chip freshman, I believe 17th overall rated player. Yeah, 17th overall rated player, number 1 tight end according to 24/7, the class of 2023, Deuce Robinson. Offensive line, you do lose Andrew Voorhees and Robert Haskins, but return Jonah Monheim and Justin Dedich, as well as getting transfers coming in, and Emmanuel Pregnon, my apologies, Jarrett Kingston, and Michael Tarkin all come in to help bolster up this offensive line. Defensively, this is where the criticism has come with this team. We know the offense is going to be really good. I just read through a lot of names. They are stacked on the offensive end. Defensively, there's been questions on Lincoln Riley's ability to field a defense, and they are losing a lot of talent, especially off of this defensive line, as Brandon Peely is gone, as well as some of your sack leaders from last year. That's Tui Pelotu, who had 13.5 sacks last year, and as well as Nick Figueroa, who had 5.5 sacks. That was your first and second sack leaders on this Trojan defense last year. However, you are going to return Solomon Byrd, and I apologize for mispronunciations. I know I will butcher this one. Stanley Tuafuo. as well as Tyrone Taleni, who are going to return to this defensive line. A lot of really good pieces come back. Taleni had 5 sacks last year. That was third on the team. I don't know why I almost said second. That was third on the team. Solomon Byrd had 4 sacks last year. That was 4th on the team. So still some good talent on the defensive line, as well as getting in just a plethora of very talented transfers. Bear Alexander, Anthony Lucas, Jack Sullivan, Kion Bars, and I could name a lot more players on this defensive line as well. Running back or linebacker wise, I saw the B thought running back. I don't know why I said it. Words are hard for me this morning as of recording this. I apologize. Linebackers, you're going to lose Raylan Goforth, who was a pretty solid option for you guys last year. 43 tackles on the season for the Trojans last year. You are going to return Shane Lee and Eric Gentry, who were your second and third leading tacklers with 78 and 71 of them, respectively, mixing some sacks and interceptions for both of them last year, as well as getting some transfers coming over in Mason Cobb and Jameel Muhammad as well. Defensive back-wise, you do lose Mekhi Becton. He was your 4th leading tackler, also led the team with 13 passes defended and 3 interceptions last year. Didn't lead the team in interceptions, did lead the team with 13 pass defended, though, but a lot of talent does return in the secondary. Max Williams was your leading tackler last year. Bryson Shaw was your 5th leading tackler, having an interception in there. Williams had 2 of them. Kalen Bullock led the team with 5 interceptions, including a pick 6 last year. And then Jalen Smith and then Sayer Wright come in, as well as getting a transfer over from Arizona, and Christian Roland Wallace. So defensively, I think they've got some good talent, but they definitely have some expectations to live up to in order to start getting better. Your head coach for the Trojans is Lincoln Riley, offensive coordinator John Henson, defensive coordinator, and Alex Grinch. As here is the Trojans' 2023 football schedule. Hey, you guys know how this works by now, but if not, I'll break it down real quick. Any game at home is going to be underlined. Any game in italics or the slanted text is a game the Trojans will have on the road. Any game you see in green is a game that I think the Trojans are going to win easily. Any game that's in yellow is, hey, the other team puts up a fight, but the Trojans are still able to win, and red is a loss. So without further ado, here's the USC football schedule in 2023. We're going to break it down, give it a good old game-by-game prediction, and I don't think the first 2 games are going to be much trouble for USC at all. They are one of the few teams to play in Week 0, and in my opinion, they're the highest profile team to play in Week 0, if I remember the slate correctly, by quite a long shot. So USC, I don't think will have much trouble with San Jose State at all, and I also don't think they're going to have trouble with Nevada either. A couple teams out of the Mountain West Conference that maybe can be solid within their own conference, but none of them are up to the level of USC. And then Stanford could be one of the worst teams in Power 5 this year. I know they're bringing in a new head coach, and there are some good pieces on that roster. I just don't think it's going to mesh well at all for Stanford. I think that's going to be a really, really bad team, and USC should be able to beat them easily. Then they get a bye week, and coming over for their first road game is Arizona State. This is a very interesting team this year. Arizona State's bringing in a new head coach. Kenny Dillingham is going to be there, and a lot of talented transfers come in for that program. However, I feel with Arizona State, I think it's going to take a year or 2 for Kenny Dillingham to really start seeing results. I think he's got a lot of good talent, a lot of good players. And again, with all this being said, I don't think they're going to beat a team like USC. Too much offensive firepower for the Trojans. I even think their defense can come up with a couple big plays in this game. But Arizona State might be a couple years. It might be a year or 2 away. My apologies, from really being able to do some damage, especially with how competitive the Pac-12 is going to be this year. And we know the story with Colorado. Boulder is hanging upside down from the rafters right now because Deion Sanders changed everything about this program. And I think Colorado is going to be very competitive this year. I think Deion Sanders is going to keep a lot of games really close. And I think Colorado is going to start winning a lot sooner than some people may think. I don't necessarily think it is going to be this year, and I don't think they're going to win against a program like USC's caliber entering this season. So while Colorado keeps it close and competitive, I do think USC will break out maybe even towards the end and pull away and win this game. Arizona has done a very good job building towards what is probably going to end up being a bowl game team this year. They are losing a lot of talent to these USC Trojans. Christian Roland Wallace, Dorian Singer, and even that defensive lineman I mentioned and Kion Bars all transfer over from Arizona to this USC team. They're going to be motivated to beat their former team, and I don't think Arizona, especially without those 2 guys defensively, are going to be able to keep up against this Trojan offense. So USC starts out 6-0 with their first half of the schedule. And then we break into the second half of the schedule, and this is where it gets real, because your first game out of that is against the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. And look, with all the questions that USC has on the defensive end, Notre Dame, while they, again, maybe have some spots to fill, Notre Dame's got a real big play threat at quarterback in Sam Harmon. He's got a big arm, and I think he can really light it up against this USC defense. Notre Dame's got a lot of very talented players on the offensive end, and I do think Notre Dame defensively, maybe not the entire way through, but maybe for some of the game, I think they're going to be able to give this USC offense a little bit of a fight here. So Sam Hartman, that big playability, I think, is able to defeat this USC defense. And the Notre Dame defense comes up with a couple stops to win the game late as the Fighting Irish hand the Trojans their first loss of 2023. And then it doesn't get easier from there because you got to go home and play Utah. Now, to a lot of people, Utah could be declining this year, but you do bring Cam Rising back. And that defense I still expect to be really good. I think it's going to be a very good, very competitive Utah team. And let's not forget the struggles that USC has had against Utah in years past, more specifically last year. It's going to be a good Utah team, and I think they're going to put up a real good fight. But this year, I do think USC is going to be able to get the better of Utah. I still think that Utah defense is going to be very physical, very legit. I just think this USC offense this year will finally be able to do enough and get past it and win that game. Cal is a sneaky team in the Pac-12 to me, and I think they have the potential to pull off a really big win against one of the really big name teams in the Pac-12 this year. I just do not think it is going to be USC again. Too much offensive firepower. Cal, I also don't think has enough. Cal definitely does not have enough defensively to keep up with USC. I don't think they even have enough offensively to be able to keep up with the talent that's on this USC offense. So USC, I think, should be able to win that game pretty easily. And then it gets even more interesting. Washington is here on the schedule, and I think this Huskies team is bound for great success. Michael Penix is a really, really good quarterback. They've also got one of the best wide receiver rooms in the entire country. And while that defense definitely has stuff to work on, especially in the secondary, that pass defense has got to get better. I still think that defense has what it takes to be able to do some really nice things this year. However, what did I just say, right? Pass defense has got to get better for Washington, and until I really see it improve, I think they're going to put up a really good fight offensively. This should be an offensive shootout type game, but Washington, I think, is going to let up too many big plays in the secondary. USC gets this game at home, and I think the Trojans will walk their way to a win. Not walk their way, but I think they're going to fight their way to a win over the Washington Huskies. Oregon is on the slate next, and this is where I have USC drop in their second game of the year. I think Oregon's going to be a very, very talented team. Dan Lanning has got Bo Nix back. He could have a Heisman caliber season. They're bringing in a lot of transfers, including getting stacked on the defensive line. I think Oregon is going to make a lot of very good defensive plays. I think Autzen Stadium is going to be rocking, and I think Oregon is going to be able to pull off an upset. Thus, according to my predictions, probably will ruin USC's college football playoff hopes. But then I think USC gets a bounce-back win against UCLA. There is a little bit of a quarterback battle going on there, but depending who walks out of that quarterback battle, UCLA's got a lot of talent on offense. They've got some good talent on defense. I think that's going to be a really solid team in the Pac-12 this year. However, when you compare them to USC will have too much firepower offensively. They will beat the UCLA Bruins, which leads me to a record of 10-2. Now, this team can absolutely go undefeated. They've got the talent to do so. But with that 8-1 record in conference, probably should have them going back to play in a Pac-12 championship game. But with the two losses, sadly, no college football playoff, in my opinion, for the USC Trojans this year. But hey, that's going to do it. Let me know your thoughts, predictions on the Trojans in the comment section below. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and remember to play hard but tailgate harder. See all you guys in the next video. Goodbye.